hope you're already looking forward to the party. However, before we go to the party, I'm very honored today to be hosting the first session today that has AI in its title. Just also here to remember, it's probably the most used word in 2023, I guess. So therefore, I'm really happy. Yeah? Also happy to have great panelists next to me. Vasili, maybe if you would introduce yourself, please.
Hello, I'm Vasili Braga. I'm a creative industry association executive director in Moldova. Also, I have my own company doing mostly AI. We are doing AI in automation for big businesses, and not only using our own models, using OpenAI models, trying to do real decision making, not only in games. Also, we created 3 bachelor's degree in our university, and we have game development there, and they have an entire course, interactive storytelling. And in this course on interactive storytelling, we are trying to put the kids, the students, to use AI in order to generate the stories. It's like something like this.
Nice, thank you very much for the introduction. Next up, Kamil, please introduce yourself as well.
Thank you, good afternoon. My name is Kamil and I'm a founder of alterdata.io. Alterdata, we founded the company like 7 years ago, and we call our company Data Team as a Service. So meaning that our team contains of data scientists, data analysts, data engineers, architects, at the moment 50 people. And we support various verticals using data. So that's our, let's say, core business data. And of course, part of the consumption in data, one of the use cases which we leverage heavily is AI. Is machine learning as well, and standard reporting and data engineering as well. But yeah, this is our, let's say, daily meal.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be sitting next to 2 very knowledgeable guys in this area. Yeah. Also, a couple of words to myself. My name is Kriebernegg. I founded the company of Moderator around about 8 years ago, kind of coming very strongly from the marketing side. We've been working on games and marketing games now for me personally more than 10 years. And yeah, I'm coming very strongly from user acquisition side, also doing with AI. But today we're going to talk more about AI in the part or as part of game development. And before we jump into it, I also brought some statistics with me because obviously when we talk about AI, as already mentioned, everybody's talking about it. Yeah. Let's maybe start with a question in the round as well, in terms of talking about how much money will AI contribute to the global economy until the year or in the year 2030?
I think it's not only about money, but about the percentage of in the real sector. At least now, from what I know, 80% of jobs in US, at least at 20%, at 20% impacted by AI, and 20% of the jobs. 50 or more percent are impacted by AI. And we are speaking about, if not billion, then trillion of dollars.
Okay. However, also a number in terms of how much money will it be generating, because the number is astonishing, I can already tell you. Who thinks it's going to be more than 1 trillion? Please raise your hands. Okay, nobody from the audience, because the number is actually 15 trillion, which by 2030 will be 30 times the size of the market that mobile gaming will be generating. So therefore also I think this is a very astonishing number. And so therefore I'm very happy to be here today in this session, that we can jump into this topic and really also start here, talk about the beginning. However, also Jamie, thank you very much for joining us in the round.
Thank you.
I would also like to give you the chance to also introduce yourself to the audience.
So yes, hi, sorry for the late introduction. But my name is Jamie Elms Christensen. I am a content producer from Bytro Elms. We're based in Hamburg. We've created games such as Supremacy 1914, Call of War, World War II, and Iron Order 1919. Pretty much what I'm currently doing is I've been brought in a traditional video producer role like you'd expect from a commercial production house, except this is being done with a mobile marketing standpoint. So everything I do has UA in mind, and it's been basically this really fun ongoing project of bringing the capabilities of a functioning production house in-house to our studio. And then with that as well, I've ended up on the AI team at Bytro, where we're always looking to see where we can implement and grow AI through all our use cases. Personally, always more advertising focused and creative focused, but this even extends into development focuses as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Yeah? Great. Then I would suggest let's jump into it. Let's kick off with the first question, and let's start with how is AI redefining real-time decision-making in mobile gaming? Kamil, do you want to take this question?
Yep. Thank you for the question. I would, let's say, start with the maybe short, maybe not the definition, but differentiation, yes, because AI is a very popular word right now, and it contains of many, let's say, smaller pieces. And I would say that real-time decision making is more related to machine learning and everything related to first delivering data quickly and in real time. Second, using it on a daily basis or even in real time to take those decisions, or sometimes even to take those decisions automatically. So I would say that for real-time decision making, machine learning and proper use of it, what was also the part of our workshop today later, is very important. And 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was like a holy grail, and maybe the biggest companies were doing something and others were just wondering what to do. Now everyone is at least starting to do that, and it is necessary to put it into the process of game development and other processes around. So why it is so important? First, because the market is more competitive and market is more crowded, meaning that you have to optimize everything to the possible dimension. Second, you have to take decision faster, and you have to predict everything what's possible. So you cannot just measure and think after a few weeks, months, years what happened, but you have to predict all possible KPIs to take decision faster before that future will happen. So, for example, it could be ROAS, it could be lifetime value, it could be retention, it could be user behavior, it could be whatever. But if you can predict it with certain probability, then you can take a decision after a few hours, few days, and it speeds up the business. If others are doing that way, you also have to do that. So then more companies are using real-time decision making based on some predictions, then other companies either they will do that or they will die. So that's the answer from my perspective.
Can I add a little bit here about decision making? Like 5 or 6 years ago, we did both, like knowledge-based AI, when you have some points, knowledge and relation between knowledge and things like this, and connected with machine learning. Yeah, of course, grace to large language models all changed in a minute, and actually now the biggest impact in any game will be the large language models. Why? Because now with the help of any LLM, you can actually generate the story. And we are doing already this, we are generating, yeah, exists problems, exists like how to have drama to remain the story, how to remain the story drama compelling, how to make a character arc and things like this. But all these problems are not so important because, like now, you can really use the same assets thousands of times, and from 5 hours of gameplay of your game, you can actually squeeze hundreds of hours. And this is the way that will change. The content will be cheaper because of AI. And this is a good idea.
Yeah, I fully agree that if we would like to separate it a bit, so machine learning would be more for decision taking or analyzing and predicting, and AI, generative AI for text, for any, let's say, unstructured data will be more on the development and faster development and reusing content and creating the applications and gameplays and text, and also analyzing, for example, reviews, things like that. So LLMs will be very useful, but yes, in a bit, let's say, different area of that. Not so structured, and not so financial, not so...
No,
maybe Jim, yeah.
I was going to say, because I think that the distinction between traditional machine learning and generative AI is incredibly important to make here. What I think is really interesting with generative AI specifically, though, is that a lot of these tools like your ChatGPT and whatnot, even the API version of OpenAI's tools, these are all things that are now, they've completely proliferated throughout the public. So more than ever before, people have access to these tools, which means that we have to adapt to more people having access to, pretty much if we go all in strictly on AI, and we just start AI generating content, and smaller teams can go in that as well, and we need to get bypassed. So it's this tightrope we have to walk between both adapting to the newest technology and integrating that into our workflow, but also keeping up enough professional talent and progress so that we still stand out.
What I wanted to say, but actually these new AI tools will democratize a lot the development of mobile games. And this is good. A lot of people have access to these tools, and we'll have a lot of new content. Not always good, but it's better to have the capacity to create more content. What I wanted to say in decision making. Now we are using AI, large language model-based agents to make personalization to the user, like to tailor the content to concrete user. And this is working like a child. We are making the model of the user, and we even are testing things on this model in order to see if it works or not. Yes, it's not so complicated, the model, but it's working better than playtests at the moment.
Maybe to also add up here, because I think a very good point that was mentioned now is accessibility of AI. Because I think from my point of view, this is what the biggest change is. Because if we think back in a couple of years ago, only big companies having access to a lot of data could only think about creating large language models, yeah, because others simply didn't have it. But nowadays you can get access for free to ChatGPT, or you pay $20 and you get the pro version from it even. So I think that this is opening up a lot, and I think that this will also have a very big impact. Yeah? As we already figured out, I think it's very important also to differentiate between generative AI, more going towards content production, as well as machine learning, where we can also think about improving processes based on data points. Maybe here a little bit of a follow-up question. When thinking about integrating AI, content production we already had, yeah? What are other benefits that come to your mind in terms of what can it help, also mobile game studios in particular?
Vasili? First thing is monetization. Like, I'm actually a lecturer. We have like 600 students with game development, and we are doing a little bit of research and development. And now I have some kids doing a master degree and doing something like computational theory of mind. Do you know what's theory of mind?
Oh.
Yeah, this is a very simple idea. Like we have in our heads the idea that we can think what other people think in general. Like, even evening, if you have some discussion with your neighbor in your head, this is about this, or if your mother, like you have a model of your mother in your head, and you have this discussion with her. The computational theory of mind is about having the AI, and if personages or people, model of peoples, these people have artificial endocrine system like emotion, these people have some kind of personality and things like this, and using these models we can actually tailor the game to the user, and it will be a better monetization. It will be a better a less dropout from the games, and they will have a personal game. For like in principle, what we did, we actually put in the NPCs a little bit of long memory to have all the interaction in memory, all the interaction with the personages, with the players, and after generate the discussion, having the same intention, but keeping in mind the context of previous collaboration. And this changed a lot, and it's quite simple to do like now. Is some integration of OpenAI, or if you don't not to do one OpenAI, you can use Llama or Vicuna or something like this, something open source, and it's okay.
Very interesting point there. Maybe also Jamie, looking into your direction, do you have to add something on this?
So, I mean, there's a few different things I want to mention. One of the most promising AI tools we've been working with for testing on the generative space is called HeyGen, which is actually an AI localization tool. Mm-hmm. Which, are you all familiar with HeyGen? It's based on Elven Labs technology, and for those unfamiliar in the audience, what you do is you upload your video, and then it dubs over the voice and the requested language, and then if there's a person talking on screen, it also remaps their mouth movements to match what's being said. So at the very least in the commercial space, that's something that we've been having testing with. But just very generally, the search for an AI tool or even creating in-house AI technology that's very effective with localization is ongoing. And I do specify localization because while ChatGPT, for example, can do, or even some other LLMs can definitely do translation, the translations always seem to fall apart in the details. It's always those very localized sayings that they seem to fail on, which isn't so much a point against AI, but rather a point where it needs to continue improving. One other thing on a different topic I do want to mention, though, that's related to this is AI can be vastly helpful for run-of-the-mill operational tasks. I mean, I think it's easy to say that if you haven't used ChatGPT to summarize meeting notes, you are missing out. And I know it's like one of the first things we up here think of, but it needs to be said.
That's a really good point. Vasili, you have to add something?
Only one thing. thinking about separating generative AI with machine learning, it did not make too much sense. Actually, it's practically from the same root. They are going from the same root. But the most important thing is in operations, the document flow. If the document flow will be put right, like you actually will not be needing any PM. Actually, it will help you with tasks. It will help you with the final document and things like this. If automating processes in big companies, like my second company, is doing only this, the document flow, and is having at least 20% for a company in operation. This is big, actually.
That's really big, yeah.
Massive.
Sorry. When talking a little bit about numbers, yeah, also how we already now learned can speed up a process on the operational side. I think we can also agree it can speed up processes on the content production side, also to friction of the time needed. Kamil, also from your side, maybe some things that come into your mind in your day-to-day life, where you just also have the comparison now, what is doable on the one hand side now with AI, but also where does it, like also help to save time or generate additional benefits as well?
But definitely, let's say on the typical data analytics side, I would say that it could be useful, to speed up some code production. Yes, definitely. But I wouldn't say it's so ready today that you can blindly use without being able to judge what happens. So the risk I perceive could happen in the future, because nowadays when you have analysts who know what they do, it could be useful. You can use do it in AI in Google or whatever, some co-pilots, etc. But you can assess that it makes sense what happened. So for smart people, it's useful because they don't have to spend time on code generation and writing all queries from the scratch, and they can reuse like building blocks and do it faster. But they are able still to assess that it makes sense. So the challenge for the future is how to not to lose that knowledge, or how to improve processes to be able to control what happens automatically when we do not have the control of person.
Like a big plus at what we are saying, you are saying right now. All they're asking me, like, what we'll be doing, we'll lose the job and things like this. I said, no, guys, girls will not lose the job. You'll lose the job if you only doing monkey job. Yeah. If you are good professional, your value will increase a lot to the AI, because in the same time you can you'll be able to deliver a much more content. This is what about, and you will remain in this business only if you are good professional, only if you understand what you are doing. And actually, yes, all what you're doing monkey job, you will lose. This job will be automated, and they will lose.
It's the same like video meetings. Sorry for changing topic, but when you were able to do offline meetings like 3 times a day in one location, then you can have 10 meetings a day in any location, and you do it, 10 times faster. So you can probably analyze data faster using some supporters. You will have 10 hands then except 2 hands. But you have to understand what to do. That's one thing. Second thing, I'm not sure that LLMs right now will be able to analyze data professionally today.
No.
Because that's a little bit, they are created in a different way. So there is no criticism there. There's only probability, like a base of that. So meaning that it's difficult to control the outcome and measure the outcome and measure the difference. Because when you do machine learning, you can measure the many metrics of the algorithm you run. When you do AI, it is still something which is coming. I'm sure it will come, but it's still it is coming. When you take a look on, I don't know, Palm or Bart from Google, for example, you have the configuration is more simple than iPhone configuration. So it means you cannot configure anything. You can just use it as it is.
Yes.
And you do not have too much influence how it answers from reality or unreality. Those tools will develop, and I'm sure that they will let us to control the process and the quality of it.
Already today you can do it by using the context.
Yes, but I know, but it's early stage.
The most important thing is not to think about the large language models like a knowledge base. No, they are not. They are firstly a small thinking machine. We are only having the possibility to give conclusion, extract facts, and things like this.
I treat it like another user interface, because if you take self-BI and you don't know what to do, you will not have that answer. That was the same story. Self-BI will solve all problems. No, it will not solve, because if data analysts do not know what to do, she or he will get, let's say, fake conclusion. Same with LLM. If the data will not be well prepared, suited to the consumption model like LLM, so asking someone using text prompts or other prompts, it will not work. So I think we all have to, that's what to say, they are not big brains, they are small brains, able to communicate in that way, but if we are able to prepare right data in a proper manner to the right tool, then it will speed up and it will be easier to use for non-technical people.
Absolutely. Here I want to add, it will be very complicated to use for non-technical people, because they already, you need to think in the same way, like old way, and you need to have this knowledge. Sorry, this is important. You need to have at least a basic technical knowledge how this is working.
That's true, yeah. I mean, also seconding here, I think with kind of every revolution that we have seen in humanity, and now also being on the AI revolution in some kind of way, I mean, first of all, I also strongly believe it will happen anyways, and the people who are the fastest to adopt will be the winners at the end of the day. So I think that is important to mention, but also completely on the same side, you kind of need a basic level, and you need a basic understanding also of the technical things happening in the background, because otherwise you will not be at the level that you can also get the most out of it for exactly the tasks or for what you want to use it, so to say. Jamie, please.
So I completely agree on that note, and I want to go back to a point you mentioned earlier, though, talking about people who keep claiming that they know, oh, it's going to replace us or whatnot, because that reminded me of a recent anecdote I've had where we've been testing a lot of technology in the creation space, particularly in terms of in-house production. I don't mean strictly generative, but I mean AI tools trained to, say, clean up audio and remove auditorial mud, or to say if a video is a bit muddled to pick out individual muddiness. And I remember showing some of this tech and some of these new tools to a very talented editor we have here, and he's like, if things continue at this point, then eventually, you know, we'll be able to have, and you know, you'll be able to replace me with an AI tool. And I said, no. I was like, because you have the know-how, you have the vision to bring this to life. What the AI does is the AI is going to get rid of a lot of the grunt work for you. You'll be able to focus more on that creative part, because you won't, the AI will get it to that workable baseline from which you can then make it shine, instead of you having to spend tons and tons of time to even try to make perhaps subpar assets even somewhat usable. Say an example of like an interview clip taken in front of a windy street.
What I want to add more, like I remember, like now, I created one more small company, my own company, doing automation without programmers. I don't have any developer. I'm using only AI tools and zero code by Google and things like this, and automating mostly accountant thing. It's not about this, but my expenses, because I'm not using more programmers, like free time less, and I'm doing quite decent products. What I'm trying to say, you can use specialists in any direction, in art or in music, in sound, and give them a possibility to use AI tools, and you actually, and sometimes you will need less developers into your company, and it's already working.
Yeah, also a very valid point, yeah. I mean, coming a little bit back now to the topic AI and gaming, or also mobile gaming, as well as real-time, coming back to this, I would say putting ourselves now into the shoes of the players out there, what can we expect in the next years to happening when it comes to playing games? How will AI also be integrated in games in terms of what you can imagine as the wildest fantasies, I would say, compared to the stage where we currently are?
Not sure if I'm not the right person to answer this question, because I'm not a heavy player, honestly speaking. But I can imagine that knowing the technologies behind that, first of all, we used to play with other players, and definitely AI could bring another layer. Like, you know, today we are, let's say, used to play with some constructs, and AI will bring it to the next level. So definitely we will have, let's say, AI players in all those multiplayer games, and they will be really good in comparison to what exists today. That's my, and it is about voice, it's about creation, it's about dialogues, it's about interaction. So the mind, let's say, simulation you mentioned. So definitely that's what should we expect. Probably it will be even difficult to sometimes find out, because I'm sure that there will be, or maybe there exist already, companies who will create tools for users who will play for them in certain games, not showing that they are, you know, AI players. So I think many interesting things will come.
What I'm thinking, like now, like in short time, we actually will have a lot of games with generative storytelling. Like now, I have in our incubator some indie projects where they generated, like we are doing a card game, and they generated each time a new deck, and the deck is absolutely new with different capacities, and this raises the replayability of the game. If firstly the game was like for 3 hours, for 2 hours, now you can actually play whatever time you want. This is one thing, but in long term, I think we'll have game generation engines, and I have already started something like this. I'm generating voxel world, like from one world, and I'm generating all through. If OpenAI API, I'm generating all the world. If Stable Diffusion, I'm generating the images, and if some 3D generators, I'm generating the mobs there. And I think in 5-10 years we'll have a lot of this kind of engines, and we'll say a word, and we'll describe a little bit the game you want to play in, and it will generate something for you. It's not so complicated, even at this moment. Yes, you'll not have a AAA experience, but if you are eager to play on something like Pirates or something biopunk or something like this, and no one is creating any game of this kind for you.
Do you remember Web 2.0?
No.
That there was a hype called Web 2.0. It was after Web 1.0. Web 1.0 was that bigger players were creating web pages to let others watch.
Yeah, okay.
And Web 2.0 was that trend that people started to generate content. Of course, we are far after that trend, and everyone can generate content. But I'm sure that what you mentioned, that engines will generate games and gameplays and many things, and people will act as co-creators. It will be natural trend, which already happened, but in a, let's say, smaller scale and less complicated format.
Yes, I also think that generative game engines, that when this becomes a thing, you know, like I also think this will opening up a complete new world, because it will open up just once again accessibility of everybody with an idea, but not having the technical skills at the moment to also build a fully fledged game. You know, like for them it will be a complete new world, and it's already possible, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Only thing, I have ADHD, like, for me to sit for 8 hours I'm a programmer, to do stuff, it's very complicated. Now, if such tools like ChatGPT, OpenAI, ChatGPT, this time, like, I don't work 8 hours, I work 2.5, and this is enough for me to do the same things without them. Like, for people with different conditions, these tools are a big help, actually.
Totally, yeah. Good. Yeah, also looking a little bit at the time, I think we would be ramping up our panel discussion here as well. Before we do that, looking in the audience, is there a question that you would like to ask our panelists here? Please.
Yeah, what I was curious about, what you didn't talk about, is using AI on a game design level, and basically machine learning on judging whether some game design decisions feel good or bad. Like, let's say I'm building a shooter and I want to know how the weapon feels. Like, how you do it right now is just, this feels pretty solid, so you just go, send it out there and hope people like the game. And what are your thoughts on using AI to basically judge whether a game design decision is good or bad even before the game came out? You know, with like tracking engagement of QAs and stuff.
I will add to one thing. What we do with machine learning, we, let's say, assess all those version experiments, etc. They are today not created heavily by AI, but they are created with some support of AI, but I do not see any limitation to use it that way. So if gameplay, content, and many other things will be generated, they could be measured and compared with, let's say, existing machine learning algorithms in a certain, of course, dimensions, and the new will come, yes, because that's measurable, and I would say we measure it today, but the content is only partially generated by AI, like as first pieces of that puzzles.
What I wanted to say, what we are doing in this direction, we are using some kind of JSON where our data is stored, like even the levels and things like this, and we actually using LLM to find if something is not right, to simulate this level, if something is not right. It's not like 100% like you'll find all the problems, but big problems like we have a closed zone or something like this, or some traps, too complicated traps, something like this, the AI will detect. But for this, do you know this deeplearning.ai site? Yeah, just go on this site and try very short courses on OpenAI and things like this, and you'll see how it's not only about one prompt, but how to do a system of prompts in order to generate a system. Not to answer to all questions, but how to generate an entire system. And this will help a little bit the game designer. The game designer with such kind of skills will understand how to use it.
Jamie, please.
So on that very same topic, it's funny because we've actually had discussions like this on the subject at Bytro. I think what you were referring to is the process of prompt engineering.
Yeah, absolutely. Prompt engineering for developers.
And I definitely think that on developer side, something like this can be prompt engineered to an extent. And when I say to an extent, like imagine just a massive asterisk next to this idea. Because while very generally I feel like this is definitely possible, and this is something that I definitely see being worked on throughout the games industry, what at the end of the day, to get that proper feel, to get that like for example, how does this weapon feel like in my hands?